welcome back to the Strong in Every Season podcast. And I am so thankful that you decided to join us today. I think we're going to have a great conversation. And I am once again here with Jessie from Jessie Clark Fitness.
Hi, Tricia. Thanks for having me back. Yeah, it's been fun getting to explore the podcast um, platform, and we're excited to be back for our next issue.
Yeah, I think we're going to just continue to have some really good conversations. We have some really interesting things in the works, um, down the line, which, we can't wait to share with everyone and maybe some potential guests and lots of future topics. So stay tuned, everybody. But first, let's jump in with kind of where we left off. So, Jesse, you were sharing a lot about your journey, where you've been and where you are now. So what I would like to start with is kind of go back to earlier than your starting point, like 15, 17 years ago. I'd like to talk about the diet culture that you and I both grew up in the 80s and 90s. And I kind of want to start this with do you do you remember, like, what is a memory you have of the impact that diet culture had on you at like an early age?
Mhm. I can remember actually going back to like my first memory of like really disordered eating. I'll go there for you. It's like a hard guttural memory, but I can remember it was my grandmother's retirement party, and we had to bring home all the sheet cakes. There was like a couple of extra cakes that didn't get um, passed out. It was a huge party. And so I can remember sneaking into where they were kept and like just throughout the day, just grabbing a whole kind of like 2 or 3 bite piece of cake and just stuffing the whole cake inside my mouth. I look back and I know that wasn't right. But yeah, I did become a chubby kid. Um, I was always bigger than most kids. I was, you know, about the height I am now, which is 5'7". By eighth grade, I was always the tallest. I looked older than my age, and I think that that's where I really started to get critical about my own body. And there's a point at which you feel like I need to be dieting, when you kind of become a young woman. And unfortunately for me, that was probably in high school when I started to realize as my activity level slowed down, I couldn't get into my clothes. And then
Mm.
I felt horrible about myself. And um, so, yeah, it was probably during that early high school days that I tried to start controlling what I ate. And then I think it was when I became a senior, a friend of mine, my best friend at the time, Stacy, and I, we went to the Fen clinic, and we got prescribed Fen, which was later found to like cause heart
Oh,
attacks and stuff. So that was the first big diet pill I went on. And I don't know, do you remember Fen?
yes. So I was too young to be on Fen, but I remember it. Like, I was probably 10. Does that sound right?
That
And
sounds right, because I'm a few years older than you, but
yeah.
yes.
I do know some family members were on Fen, and like, didn't you have to go to a doctor? And I remember them having to go to a doctor weekly and have like checkups because of the Fen. Like, it was something specific. Like, they had to go
Yeah.
somewhere. I don't know if that's what you had to do.
So yes, you had to go to a clinic to get it, but I remember knowing already what my body mass index had to be so that I went in and specifically said, it was like a question and answer, and it was like, how much do you weigh? And I think I even lied and was put that I was heavier than I was so that I would make sure and walk away with the drugs. So one, it was like just the honor system, and I was able to lie. And number two, about a week or two into the prescription, I developed some lung issues, like the exact thing that it would the class action lawsuit. I started to develop a cold, and it started causing congestion in my lungs. I stopped it and moved on with the rest of my life. But yeah, that began a long history of dieting, and through my 20s, um, before I really zoned in on true healthy eating and healthy movement, I tried everything. So you name it, I've tried it.
Okay, so I'm gonna name a classic from the 80s and 90s. Maybe some of our um, audience members will know this, but do you
Okay.
remember Slim Fast?
Absolutely.
Did you
Love
ever
it
partake of Slim Fast shakes or
for
bars?
sh for sure. For sure. And I still think like when it comes to products on the market or the whole, shake for breakfast, shake for lunch, and a sensible dinner, that actually is not a bad deal. It's not a bad deal. Even though it's a huge industry, the diet industry is huge. When it comes to like any really structured eating program, it could work. It could work for you, for me, for anybody, because it allows you to say, this is what I'm doing, and I'm not doing all this other crap and bullshit, I'm not eating, I'm not eating McDonald's because I'm eating my shake and my lean and green dinner. But what we know from experience, Trisha, you and me and everybody listening, is that's not sustainable, not for a lifetime.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I know it works because your girl was on it in sixth grade.
In sixth grade,
That was the life I lived. I was
yeah,
I was a very chubby child. Um I don't remember not being chubby. It just I think my we're just that's just my people. My family
yeah.
were just big people. And so
You come from a strong line.
oh yeah. So but like and my family did all the Adkins, the Weight Watchers, and so Slim Fast, it is easy. That
Yeah,
was really easy because it was like you drink these shakes, and then you have honestly, you could almost have anything for dinner as long as you didn't go too crazy because you're just drinking
yeah.
shakes. Like it's you know what it was really simple. So yeah, I did that when I was in sixth grade and lost a good bit of weight.
Yeah,
But I'm sitting here. I'm 11 years old, bringing a Slim Fast shake in a chocolate milk container, so no one knows it's Slim Fast. But it's like this
mm,
has to look weird, right? Like, did
mm.
anyone wonder why I was literally just drinking chocolate milk for lunch? Did anyone notice? Like, I have got to know. Like, now that I'm older, if I saw a child drinking milk only for lunch, I'd be like, "Can we? Are you okay?" Like,
It's so hard because at that age, you go to the doctor and the pediatrician says your child is obese or your child is overweight. And I think there is some parental responsibility. Like I am a parent, but it's up to us, to help our kids. What a lot of parents didn't realize is that by saying what they said, because it was really my father that said things about what I was eating. He would be like, "You're not going to eat that, are you?" And I can remember that being said at home, commenting on people's food,
oh
really
yeah, or their
praising,
figure, their body, like
yeah, commenting when they've lost weight. Oh, you look so great. Oh, you're doing such a good job. And I think as
always.
kids,
Yeah.
we just really want to be loved by our parents. And so I don't know exactly what the answer is to helping our kids other than trying to do it in a supportive way that's like everybody's eating healthy. I'm eating the salmon and rice and veggies, and I'm eating, so my only recommendation, having lived through it, is just trying to be a good example. Because if you were to say anything to them about maybe you should lose a few pounds or anything like that, that's guaranteed, therapy at some point in life if you had parents that did that to you. Here we are, Trisha.
Right. Well, like so and what you said about being the example. So I saw them doing the diets. I saw them on FenFen and Weight Watchers and like with the books with Weight Watchers before it was all digital. I saw the books. I
Yeah.
saw
Yeah.
the Adkin. Like I knew that all that was going on. And but when I was doing Slim Fast, I was the only one doing Slim Fast. But everybody was big in my family. I was just the only one doing it.
Yeah.
To my memory. I mean, that was a long time ago, but I don't remember anyone doing it with me. Um, but I think it's interesting, when there is such an emphasis placed on bodies, like that they look great. I always heard, oh, she looks fantastic. She's lost so much weight, or she's gotten big. It was always a feminine, like it was always a comment on a female body in my family.
Yeah.
It seemed.
Yeah. I think
Um,
that it's better, at least this wasn't the way I was raised, but we just don't make comments ever about anyone's body. We're not driving by a person going, "Oh, look at that giant person." It's almost
oh
like
my
if you
gosh.
if you do that at home, if you do that at home, your kids are listening. And so
Hmm.
if you're like, keep that judgment inside the brain. We don't need those intrusive thoughts. Even if you're like, wow, keep that inside
Yeah.
because it's not going to be helpful if you let something come out and you show your kids in the privacy of our own home. It's fine to just, talk shit about other people. It's really not fine to talk that way about people's bodies.
Well, and then because I heard comments like that about other people, just out in public, comments were made about various body types, and I would start to internalize that. And I don't know if you did either, but I would start to think, okay, well, do I look like that? Because I have a different perspective of my body, right? And like I think I look one way, and I you don't always get the truest image of your body, right? Like sometimes you just don't. And so I would always wonder, like, what do they think I look like? What do they think about me? What do people think about me? Do I look bad in that? Some people I was close to would make comments about clothing, like you can't wear this pattern because it makes you look fat. You can't wear this cut of skirt because your hips and butt look huge, like, which are true things. That's not, sometimes it's true. Like sometimes some cuts of clothing are not flattering, right? But when you heard
True.
those comments directed at you as a 13-year-old person, like a 13-year-old just trying to navigate life, it can be really weird, you know?
Yeah. Especially when you have a family value system that really puts heavy emphasis on physique, being lean, being skinny, being small, being feminine, being dainty, being all these things. I feel like, especially in the South, but not always in the South, but there's pressure on women to, keep the same weight that they had when they were married and all this kind of it's
Back in
bullshit.
high school,
Yeah, my high school jeans. I wish I no, we're grown-ups. Our bodies have given birth to children. Our bodies are going through, some of us perimenopause and menopause. It's like our bodies are not designed to be the exact same size and composition as they were when we were, in high school or middle school. It's it's something that I feel like we lived through in kind of that 17 magazine where we would flip through and be like, oh, top 10 diet ideas. And there'd be some diet in there where you'd eat a can of tuna and you'd have cottage cheese and you basically starve yourself all day. But that was the example, how to lose
hmm
10 pounds in a week. And that was why
yep,
we bought the Cosmopolitan magazine.
yep, for
Yep.
sure. And but my biggest problem with that is I didn't want to eat cottage cheese and tuna because I thought that was gross, and I was a terrible eater as a child. Like I lived on chicken nuggets, French fries, and barbecue sauce. I would put barbecue sauce on everything. Like I was so picky, and so I think even if I wanted to lose weight, it was going to be an uphill battle because I was so picky. Like I just
Yeah.
it's just not going to happen.
So this is where I feel like the conversation has to go because it doesn't make sense for really little kids to be on diets. That doesn't make
Mm,
sense. And really not for adults either, but we can make better choices, certainly. But when you're a child and what's provided for you is not always the healthiest, instead of worrying about what the kids will eat and what they won't eat, it's a better idea to get that movement going, you know?
mhm.
Find a sport, or maybe it's the family goes for an evening walk together. So, it doesn't happen overnight. But imagine what the difference would have been if you and your family, instead of seeing your parents or your loved ones going to Weight Watchers meetings, if it was going for active walks together and cooking together and chopping veggies. So you really do have to try to provide good, healthy food, but then also just ramp up the movement so that it keeps kids exercising.
Right. Yeah. That's the way that we can live through example, right? So I have my son is about to turn 15, so he is in that stage where he could eat the whole kitchen, right? Because of what his body's going through. But he is so active that it's really not affecting him. Because at this stage of his life, his metabolism is on fire. It's like, I'm so jealous. Can I please borrow your metabolism? Because I don't think at my best my metabolism was that good. So, but
It
even
never
still,
was
oh, it never was. My metabolism was
because,
never good. Never. Like,
but think about a boy child is so much more lean and they have more testosterone. Like they
mm-hmm,
just have a different composition to where, a male teenage child, I have an 18-year-old, you have a 15-year-old, they are eating everything in the house.
mm-hmm.
Like, and we can touch on this later, but Thomas is in a sport that requires him to weigh a certain amount. And so that's a whole other layer of disordered eating in the name of
Mm-hmm.
sports. Um, but tell me more about your
So,
Kellen.
so he, so what's funny about him is he's very lean. Like you, he's just got that. Honestly, that perfect. I think it's perfect. I'm jealous. I'm like, can I? I wish I were as lean as I was. Never that lean. Maybe at my thinnest when I was training for the half. Maybe then I was lean. But like he's just got such a great physical. Like his body is just. I'm so jealous. I'm sorry. That sounds really weird, but I don't care. But he
Hey, to be young again.
to be young again. But he'll sometimes he'll have these questions like, can I something about dessert? Like, can I have dessert? And I'm like, well, do you? I have no problem with dessert. Let's get that straight right now. I love cookies, cakes, ice cream. I'm a big fan of all of it. But I tell him, do you need it? Are you hungry or do you just like want to taste? Because there's a difference, right?
Yeah,
So, and I would never discourage him from having a dessert or a second plate of food because I cook fairly decently. I'm not everything is healthy that I cook, but I'm cooking it, so it's better than
yeah,
going to like fast food or whatever. But I never discourage him, but my whole goal with him is what is your body telling you? What
yeah,
like do you feel full or are you still hungry? Cuz if you're hungry, have at it. I do not care because he's also an athlete. He's very he runs track. He's very active. He's always moving. So I don't care if he's eating second helpings or a dessert. But my whole point, which this was never taught to me as a child, what does your body say?
that's so important to ask him because usually if there's hunger involved still, it means that in the rest of your day, maybe you've not had enough calories, and so your body is calling out for something more.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could mean that the food is really delicious, Mom, and you did a really great job, and it's delicious, I want it. But
Mm-hmm.
I have found that when I eat to satisfaction, my stomach is not hurting, being able to teach those hunger cues to our kids and more of this idea of intuitive eating. Because if you go to, let's say, a Logan's Roadhouse or you go to a Chili's, there's a giant plate and there's about enough calories on that plate for 2 or 3 meals.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
you might get a chicken fingers basket and it would be your entire calories
For
for
the
the day,
day.
for the day. So we
Yes.
have, as a culture, we do not know what a serving size looks like anymore. And
That,
so
oh my
trying to,
gosh. That is
we
so
don't.
true.
And then we've
Oh.
also been taught not to waste our food. So you eat to the point that your stomach gets hurt. So if we're
Mm-hmm.
ever eating to that point, it's usually a good idea to kind of slow down at the end of the meal, have the conversation so that you can listen to the hunger cues and your body will say, nope, I'm full. Because there are definitely hormones in the body that will tell you. You just can't rush through a meal.
So that is a really good point that
Hmm.
I think is worth exploring because when when we sit down to have a meal with family or friends or I feel like we take more time to eat, right? Because we're enjoying the other company, we're having conversations hopefully. And I think that is when we like it's less about the food and more about the whole experience, and when you are able to slow down and take and enjoy the food and enjoy the company, you don't like you don't notice the how I'm trying to think of what I want to say, but it's like I'm not eating so much when I'm like shoveling it in my mouth. Like I'm eating so much when I'm shoveling it in my mouth, but when I'm enjoying other people and I'm sitting around with other people, I'm not stuffing a chicken tender in my mouth. And I
Yeah.
think for me, um, when we treat a mealtime as a fellowship thing,
Hmm.
it kind of helps us keep the unhealthy habits of rushing through a meal. It kind of helps that kind of settle a little bit. And
Hmm.
like, did your kids ever like just shovel their food in and were you like, just slow down? Of course you're still hungry. You didn't even let that settle. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
For sure, for sure. Like we rush through things as a society. It happens with our kids. I agree, sitting down to one meal a day, if not every day, then at least a few times a week, helps you to slow down. That's when your stomach's going to fill with food, and then you'll feel the hormones kick in that say stop. Now, if you've developed over time, the hormone is called ghrelin. It's called ghrelin. There's a few hormones that work together, leptin, ghrelin, cortisol, all these different things that insulin that tell you whether you're hungry or not. But I think that if we continue pushing through those hormone receptors, then we become resistant to those hormones that tell you to stop. Okay, so it does help. Have you ever felt the experience after you maybe had a stomach virus and you couldn't eat anything because you were sick, and then you come back after the illness and your stomach's like this big, and
Yeah.
suddenly all you can just eat is just a bite. You know, you just have to kind of build that stomach up. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine you've been just stretching your stomach so much and ignoring those hunger cues so much. Your body doesn't know what's going on. Are you really hungry? Are you bored? Are you sad? Are
Oh
you
gosh. Mm-hmm.
lonely? So I think that being intuitive also includes recognizing, yep, I'm eating for emotional reasons. So my whole
Mm,
thing is I still eat for emotional reasons, but at least I'm acknowledging, hey, I want this cookie because I'm sad and I'm going to
yeah.
eat this cookie and that's what's going to happen. I think acknowledging that that's what's happening and just being like, yeah, you deserve it, or whatever, is the first step in not doing it as often for me.
That's a really good point because I think emotions get tied up in eating because of the way culture is with everything that we do has food involved. Everything.
Everything, all of its
Everything.
carbs.
Uh, and because of the cake or the pizza or the, I mean, I guess cookouts, well, if you have all the fixins with it, right? Like the cookouts
Yeah.
can be tough, but everything has food. And so you do sometimes get that um that boost of like the good feeling because you're eating with people and you're enjoying your time, and but like it is hard to separate kind of the emotional, the comfort that food can bring, right? Because there is a
For sure.
comfort food.
For sure. And I actually think that's not ever going away. So trying to say like, hey, let's just treat food as fuel.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not going to be realistic for my life. I've done that
No.
before. That was also whack job crazy, where I would be like, all right, I can have 3 ounces of sweet potatoes and 4 ounces of ground turkey. I've done that too. That
Yeah.
works for a short period. But then when you get back to real life, you realize that more balance is required, and celebrations are going to be, you know, involve food. And so I think that just to create like enough options to where you've definitely got some protein on the table, you've got some healthy stuff, but you've got lots of choices for people. And it's like um, it's not all about the junk and overeating. But have you ever been to like a Thanksgiving meal, which is coming up, which we'll talk about Thanksgiving strategies on
That's
our
a good
next call?
idea. That's a good
But
idea.
like you can have a couple of bites of everything, and some of us know I can't be trusted around blank. So if there's a food that you can't be trusted around because you're going to lose your mind and make yourself sick, well then have that. That's not a food you should go near if you struggle with kind of falling into the deep end of the pool with it used to be for me pizza. It used to be pizza. And then I realized, okay, you can have salad and a slice or two without, having the whole pizza.
Yeah. But I'm sure that took you time to learn that. Like it
For
wasn't.
sure.
So my food that I
What
struggle
is
with
it?
is chips. I love
Chips.
potato chips so much. Like okay, so everybody in my house loves potato chips. It's just a good snack food. It's just
It is.
a good, and I'm not really picky. I will eat almost any like any kind of tortilla chip, potato, whatever. But I don't like certain flavors, okay?
Oh, okay.
So what I do now, so they like the spicy, like flaming hot crap that I don't enjoy that. It doesn't,
Yeah.
I don't like that. So I will get them the spicy chip or like sour cream and onion because I'm also not a fan of that. I will get them those flavors and I will not touch that bag of chips because I know if I get a bag of chips that I want, those chips are going to be gone in a day.
It's
I just
gone.
know it.
Okay.
It's
Wow.
bad, and but I've had to learn that. So or I
That's a
get those little
strategy.
I get the little individual bags, and I
Yeah.
just I just get those because that way it's at least portioned.
Agreed. Everything you've said makes sense. But I would tell you that when you're getting, I would tell you this, when you're getting that cue for a salty snack, like in the middle of the afternoon, it's like, it's 2 o'clock. I need a salty snack. And you go to the cabinet, that usually is your cue, sis, that you're dehydrated. So here's the deal I'm going to make with you. You can have one portion, you can have one portion of your chips if you chug like 20 ounces of water first.
Ugh. See, and
I
that's
know.
okay. That's what I used to do when I was training for the half.
Okay.
I before I would have, and I don't think this was super healthy either, but I would drink a giant glass of water before I would eat anything. And I would drink a giant glass, like I'm talking a big cup, right? Not
Yeah.
an 8 ounce little bathroom kitchen cup or bathroom sink cup. I'm talking about a
Mhm.
big old sucker. I would drink a whole
Yeah.
thing of that, and then I would walk around, like go for a walk for like 10 or 15 minutes, and then usually I wasn't hungry anymore. Now, I don't know. I don't think that's great uh, to do all the time. I think sometimes I should have probably eaten something. But because
But
it was a good idea and it did help and I see how it helped, but I think I took it so extreme that I would just I would think, oh, I'm hungry. I'm going to drink this giant glass of water and give myself 15 minutes and then I'll be fine.
Yeah,
And
that's
because I,
not a it's not a bad strategy. It's not a bad strategy. But it sounds like the way you're telling the story is you know it was a little disordered. Like you can sniff your own disorder and be like, I'm really enjoying the way this feels. I'm running a lot. I'm losing some weight. I feel better about myself. So I would say, like, when you're on a mission like you were with the marathon training, I get it. I get it. We all do things that are very, very regimented, but the hydration part of it, most of the time when we feel like, I'm hungry, it might mean that you're thirsty. So if ask yourself the questions, have I drank enough today? Is it a meal time? Have I eaten anything today? So that we can figure out, is this emotion and boredom or am I truly hungry? And it sounds like you're doing that.
yeah, well, that's interesting because I think I told you yesterday. Didn't I text you yesterday and we were talking about something totally different? I was like, yeah, I also just realized I haven't eaten today. And it was
Both
2
of
p.m.
us. That was, I think it was both of us. We were like, what happened to the day? How was it 2 o'clock? And we can go big periods of time without needing to have a meal. And I think if I'm thinking with my why are humans like this brain, we had back in the, caveman days, we were hunters and gatherers. So we would maybe eat a little something in the morning. We'd go out, we'd, forage our food and we'd kill the dinner for that night, and we can go big periods because we have a system in our body that uses insulin and stored fat for energy. So it's okay, and that's a great way to, shed some fat. We're not trying to shed muscle, but we would love to shed some fat. And those big periods of not eating, just like at night, our body can survive for 12, 14, many, many hours while we sleep at night.
Yeah,
We're not wasting away here.
that's true. I don't eat after dinner. Once dinner, and
Yeah.
we eat a fairly early dinner. We eat around 5:30 every day. We like to eat an early dinner, and I don't eat after that. I
Me
don't
too.
have a dessert. When I'm done with dinner or whatever I am done, I'll have, like I'll still drink water after that, but I don't really eat anything after that point. And then so yeah, like I think it's really good to let your body have that time to kind of reset.
Hmm.
Um because kind of going back to what like culture kind of being in a rush with even eating food and kind of shoveling it in, we are so used to just having it at the ready. Like I could go to my cabinets right now and there's a million like not a million, but quite a few options right now that I could eat this moment. And which is great. That's a blessing. That's a good thing. But sometimes I know for me, I've had to learn don't grab the chips or the cookies because those are easy. Those are right
Yeah,
there. That I've had to teach myself like, okay, have the protein bar or make a smoothie or have a
hmm,
salad ready. Like it takes more time to
sure.
do. And that's the whole thing with all of this, isn't it? It's all about
It
kind
is
of intentionality and slowing down and paying attention,
for sure.
which we're not really good at, I don't think, as a culture.
Well, there's so much pressure to hustle. There's so much pressure to work. And I get it. Like a lot of moms, a lot of families, a lot of just single women are
Hmm.
working 70, 80 hours a week. I mean, it's crazy when you count in the time it takes to get ready. Now you spent an hour and a half driving there. Then you do your 8 hours of work and then you drive an hour and a half home. And then you come home and it's 7 o'clock and you're dead tired.
Yeah.
And that's the conversation I'm having with people is that they're overworked, they're
Hmm.
stressed. There's a lot going on in our culture right now and in our country. And the only thing they want to do is just drive through or DoorDash it. And I get it because
Hmm.
you're so just tired.
Yeah,
So I think
for
the
sure.
workaround there is to take time. I'm really only motivated like 2 days of the week. The rest of the days, I'm benefiting off of my earlier choices.
Right.
So if you're only going to be strong a few days of the week and, one day you're just going to do whatever the hell you want, then
Hmm.
you need to have some things in place where on a Saturday, a Sunday, or your day, the day of your choosing, do a little bit of that preparation. Because I know in my fridge, I just boiled up 10 eggs. I've got 10 boiled eggs in there. I've got a meal prep that's got chicken, rice, and veggies. So I've got some good options
Yeah.
in there if I want it. It's usually that I'm just not that excited about meal prep anymore. So I'm like,
Well, you know what's interesting about that is like we're talking about people doing the convenient thing, which is drive through DoorDash, but and there's a lot of conversation about healthy foods or things like that being expensive. And I'm not saying that it's not because my family is on a budget. I coupon clip like nobody's business. So I know that food inflation is real, food prices are high. It is a little bit more expensive to get better quality foods or to be more intentional as far as foods go. However, what I also know is it is still cheaper. I'll speak for me and my family to to make the food at home as much as possible than to
for sure,
DoorDash it or drive through because you're paying a lot more if you really break down the costs.
for
You're
sure.
paying a lot more to do that and you think it's more convenient but you're spending more money. Like you really are.
Yeah, it's so easy nowadays to drive through a place and suddenly it's $45. And I'm like,
Oh my gosh,
how
yeah.
are we at Zaxby's and it's $45? So,
Which the only reason worth going to McDonald's back in the day was because it was $5 for everything. Like remember when it was just like, of course it's cheap. It's garbage food. We all know this. Okay, fine. But it was cheap, so that's why you went, right? Now you could go to McDonald's and it's just as much as like a decent restaurant. It's like, why are we doing this?
yeah, I think that so when you eat at home too, not only as we get smarter and as our economy starts to shrink, because it's happening, I'm talking to people, they feel it. It's like we got to start being smarter, buying in bulk. How can we take something that's a big pack of meat, portion it out so that
That's
you're
what I
not
do.
wasting anything? Yep, we're
Hmm.
portioning out. We're taking something maybe that we made early in the week, and then like I chopped up the chicken last night and put it into a little stir fry and re kind of recooked it and refreshed it. I
Hmm.
think too, yes, you could make the argument that it's cheaper to go out to eat. You could make that argument. There's always going to be places that have deals. But for me, when I put in a food into my body that was at a restaurant, I almost always have some sort of GI distress.
That's a good
And
point too. And that no
yeah,
one wants to feel that. That is not a
no,
pleasant feeling.
no, because there's something in the recipe. I don't tolerate onions very well. So like you never know what's in something that
Or
could
the
cost them
the
something.
I know that one of the restaurants in town here has a fake butter that they use called Phase.
Oh.
Eh, Yeah, it's now granted they may not use this anymore because it's been a time since I worked there, and I will not
Huh.
mention their name. But if you ask me, if you comment or direct message us and ask, I will tell you. But
I'm
I'm
gonna
not.
direct message you.
I will gladly tell you off mic because you don't want this restaurant thinks they're healthy and acts like they're healthy because they don't fry things.
Yeah.
No, you don't want to know what your stuff is cooked in back there. It's nasty.
Well,
Like
I think we've
yeah,
we've all worked in restaurant situations, and it's like it's not gonna be like your kitchen, you know? And I think that's part of why I like to eat at home. I really do.
to have
And
that
it's
control over
not,
it, to know what's in your food, like
yeah,
everything in your food.
and to know the salt content because I'll go out to eat somewhere and I'll come home and I've got sausage fingers, and I'm like, oh wow, there must have been a lot of salt in that meal. But
Yeah.
I still feel like there's a time and a place for when I finish a race, when I've done a triathlon or when I've done something special or just have a night out. I want to go to a Mexican restaurant
Oh
and
my
I want
gosh.
to sit there and I want to eat cheese dip and I don't want to be told what's in it.
Oh,
I just want to
I
eat
don't
the
want to
cheese
know.
dip.
I just want to
No,
live my life and
yeah,
enjoy the queso.
just pour cheese dip just all over and just eat it up because
Yeah, cause that's
there's a
okay.
time
Cause
and a place.
that exactly. There's a balance to it. Cause when I was training for the half marathon, I did not do that balance. I was so regimented. So we just don't really go out to eat that much for financial reasons and just a
Hmm.
lot of things. But when we would go, when my husband and I would like go out on a date, I we would go to this restaurant that in my opinion has very tasty chicken tenders. Like I love them
Okay.
very much.
Okay.
But I would not get them. I would get this salad that was 400 calories. And that which is fine. That was fine, but I wouldn't enjoy it like I would have enjoyed those chicken tenders. Like
Yeah.
and I would and that is the only place I could get them and I wouldn't do it. So there was like a whole year where I didn't eat them. And
Right.
that's not that was fine for its season, but
Hmm.
it I just wasn't living, like and I know that sounds kind of dramatic, but I wasn't enjoying things. I wasn't enjoying the chicken tenders that bring me joy. I wouldn't have eaten chips and queso if I went to a Mexican restaurant. I wouldn't have eaten cake for somebody's birthday. Like and I think part of being balanced in your eating is finding a way to have those things in moderation and enjoy them and not be guilt like not feel guilt or
Yeah.
shame because I'm eating this chicken tender and I know it's this one chicken tender is the whole more than the calorie count of that salad. I know it, but I also don't care cuz it's
Yeah.
delicious. Like I think there's a balance to be had
For
there, you
sure,
know?
for sure. I think that you and I have both had that situation where our life was out of balance, when it was 100% about the goal or the physical or the weight loss or the control and the thing, and it had to be right. And it's like that's one way to live. And then as you attain the goal and you saw that if I do this amount of work, I can get to that goal. It almost checks the box.
Mhm.
And then I feel like the rest of your life begins because I'm certainly not at my smallest. I'm not at my lightest. I'm not at my whateverist,
But girl,
but
you look good.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good, but I'm also at a point where I'm working out as much as I want to and care to. I'm enjoying movement. My body responds to it. It's great for my mental health. So I'm getting the movement I need and I've built this infrastructure of muscle. And that's where I come full circle with things. And I'm telling you and I'm telling all our listeners, if you want the freedom to once in a while just relax and eat a cheeseburger and not feel guilty about it, that freedom exists within strength training and exercise. It's not that you had to earn the cheeseburger, but if you build a body that's an incinerator for food, especially our legs, if you build really strong legs, those things you're not going to need to worry about over consuming your calories because your body incinerates food and uses it for energy. So remember, the best diet you can be on is called squats.
Thing that is where okay, what I would love for us to do is
Okay.
next time we're going to talk about the exercise component. We're going to talk
Okay.
about because I
Squats,
think we
baby.
squats. We're going to talk
Squats.
about exercises and the different types and what
Sure.
works, what doesn't. Which side note, I think it's going to be a hot take, but there's no exercise that doesn't work as long as you're doing it. Is that fair to say real quick? We're not
Yes.
going to get into
Yes.
it, but
I high five that. Yes. There's the
So,
best exercise is the one you're willing to do that you enjoy. So
so
we can definitely
we
pick up there.
we will pick up there, but what are some final thoughts about our conversation about diet culture, food balance, intuitive eating? What kind of final thoughts would you like to leave our listeners with?
I would say, because we've been trying to tie this through with our conversations, is we're about different seasons in life. We all have seasons where we are maybe really, really structured with our eating or not so structured, or we're honed in and being very intuitive, or we just let it all go. So it kind of depends on your season in life. But if you think of like balance as a spectrum, sometimes we're going to do better than others. And yeah, being really, really strict and rigid, that's likely to get you the results. I'm not going to lie. Like I'm a professional in the fitness and health world. If you were to just eat the same thing every day, exactly the macros you need, you will get there. Now, will you likely be pretty miserable and make other people miserable around you? Yeah, you will. I've done it. I've made myself miserable. And then you got to sort of get out of that temporary eating disorder that's called training for something. And then you get back to real life. And so at the end of the day, learning how to and teaching your kids to cook for themselves, prepare healthy meals, and how to get movement, not just for our bodies but for our mental health. If we just go for a mental health walk after dinner, we're going to take care of a lot of the metabolic issues and the issues of being overweight. So I'd start with there. Cook at home and take a walk every night, and you'll probably be okay.
That's awesome. I loved everything you just said, and I think it's the perfect way to wrap up this episode and the perfect way to sign out. And I cannot wait for our next conversation on Strong in Every Season. Thanks everybody for joining us. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to get new episodes. Find us on Spotify, and we would just love to hear from you. Any thoughts you have about maybe unbalanced eating, seasons in your life where you've noticed that you've been either really on or really off, we would love to hear from you. So please reach out. Thank you so much. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you. Bye.